Hey everyone, this is Adam Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Friday, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at the sun entering the sign of Capricorn, refresh on some of the seasonal meaning of the sign in relation to the return of light that happens in the Northern Hemisphere around this time. I'm focusing on this symbolically. So even if you're listening from the Southern Hemisphere, this is applicable in terms of understanding the symbolism of Capricorn and its association with the winter solstice. So I hope you'll enjoy that regardless of where in the world you might be coming from. We're also going to look at the fact that the sun enters Capricorn and then immediately squares the nodes of the moon over the weekend. I find that little transits like that with the sun and the nodes, because the sun and the moon are so connected to the nodes through eclipses, can be very meaningful. We're going to talk about that today, a little concept called the bending of the nodes. So if you've never learned about these things before, that might be interesting to you, and I hope that you'll enjoy this. I'm going to have some bonus content over the weekend, so stay tuned for a little bit of extra content over the weekend as I'm trying to make sure that we generate support for the Kickstarter. You'll see that on Saturday and maybe even Sunday. We'll see. Anyhow, before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe, share your comments. If you've got a good story to share, we always love hearing from you. Use the hashtag grabbed. Email us a story, grabbed@nightlightastrology.com with any of the major transits we've been looking at lately. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on my website, which is nightlightastrology.com. We have a solstice event happening over the weekend here in Minneapolis at the Grapevine Collective, which is at the new City Center in Minneapolis. Go to the events page on the website, click on in-person events. It is free to join us. Just RSVP so we know you're coming. We can bring enough stuff. And yeah, we're going to have a little movement, a little meditation, and a little time to socialize and hang out and ritualize an important moment in the year. We're hoping that we'll get to do these going forward, at least for the year ahead, around the equinoxes and solstices, and then maybe some other events too. We'll see. But anyhow, can't wait to see some of you there. Now, the other thing that, of course, I'm doing is I am in the midst of promoting the annual Kickstarter campaign. We have just about 12 days left in our annual campaign with a backer goal that we're heading for of 1,937 backers. We still need the support of 1,300 backers in just a little bit less than 12 days. So we really do need support. If you haven't donated already, please consider pitching in and supporting the channel and all this free content in the year ahead. Of course, this is how I support myself and my family. This is how I support a staff, including a full-time social media person who helps me edit, post, distribute, manage all of the daily content year round. It's a huge job. Everything we do is also about making sure that astrology is affordable and accessible. You guys helped us last year to set up an affordable reading service. Be sure that you check that out. All of our classes are by need-based tuition if people need it. And that happens in part because of the success of this Kickstarter campaign. And the way that we use this campaign also as a flash sale for all of our programs. So after today's video, I'll tell you more about the rewards that are available when you support the program. You can find the link in the description of this video. You can find it in the comment section pinned to the top or on the website, nightlightastrology.com. When you go over there, if you scroll down, any pledge makes a difference. $5, $10, $15. If you get something good out of this channel, literally any dollar amount helps us meet our goal. As you scroll down, you'll find all the rewards available. And like I said, I'll talk about those at the end today, but your horoscopes for the year ahead, the Astrology of 2025 video, all of our courses, 50%, up to 75% off when you bundle some of our programs together. So lots of really good savings. I like to say something every day about what I think makes this channel valuable. And also, like, here's some boxes. If you check this box, then consider donating. If you appreciate this channel because there is a spiritual focus, that we don't just say, here's what's going to happen to you, but we say, here are some containers you can put these things in philosophically, spiritually. Here are some different ways of making sense out of the transits that we're experiencing. If you appreciate that we talk about things from a mundane perspective and a spiritual perspective, if you like that kind of if you like that approach, then please consider donating and supporting the channel. We could really use the support here in the last days and see if we can reach our goal. On that note, let us now turn our attention to the sun entering the sign of Capricorn. All right, let's get into it. We're looking at the sun squaring the nodes of the moon as it enters Capricorn. Of course, this in the northern hemisphere is the winter solstice point. I'm going to talk about that just a little bit symbolically. A few things to think about that maybe we don't always think about when it comes to zero Capricorn and the winter solstice. And then we're going to take a look at the square to the nodes of the moon and what it means that the sun is at the south bending in particular, which is a concept I'll introduce to you today. If you've never heard of the bending of the nodes, don't worry. This is something that we'll look at together. So let me just move something around here so I have a better view of what I'm looking at. Okay, there we go. All right, well, let's take a look at the timeline of this transit first. Here we are on Friday, December 20th. Of course, I have a live stream today, and I hope you'll be able to attend that or see the replay of it. You can see it for a live Q&A and some live readings that I'm doing today as well. Okay, so here we can see important moment here. Here's the sun at 29 degrees of Sagittarius today. Tomorrow we'll be celebrating the solstice with a gathering here in Minneapolis. Kind of exciting. Go forward tomorrow, the sun crosses on the 21st into Capricorn. That is our northern hemisphere winter solstice moment. And then what happens is immediately the sun is forming a square to the nodes of the moon. And that square will happen between Saturday, December 21st, and Sunday, December 22nd, finishing up by Monday, December 23rd. So between now and Monday, the sun moves into Capricorn and squares the nodes. Now, in ancient astrology, there's a traditional concept called at the bending, and I'm not sure how old this concept is, actually. Now that I come to think about it, I don't know that I've ever heard the first source that this comes from. I believe it could be a modern concept. I think it's a traditional concept, though. I don't use it a whole lot, and but I thought it would be interesting to use in this case. So there's my lack of knowledge on that subject. Anyway, when you're looking to see which bending a planet occupies when it's in a square to the node, what you do is you start by looking at, let me put the chart back up on the screen, start by looking at the north node and go clockwise. So in this case, we start with the north node in Aries, we move around the wheel in clockwise fashion. And if we come to a planet at the first square that we get to in clockwise fashion, this would be a planet that's out the south bending. If we were to keep on going and go all the way around the wheel to the closing square before returning to the north node, that would be at the north bending. That basically means is that planets that are square to the nodes will be inclined toward one of the two nodes depending on which position they are in, and that's how you determine. So in this case, the sun crossing into Capricorn is at the south bending, inclining itself to the south node in Libra. That's fascinating. It's a fascinating little technique that you can play with, see how you like it. I'm going to delineate some things that we might notice based on this today. I've got 5 things to watch for. But before I do that, a few words about the winter solstice. The winter solstice and the sign of Capricorn related to one another are an important astrological marker within the solar year. One of the things that many people don't fully understand when they start studying astrology is that they believe that the meanings of the signs, the common things that we say about signs, probably everyone has heard a few things said about Leos, or people have heard a few things about Scorpio or something like that. But where does that symbolism come from? Well, mostly it comes from the planet that's associated with the sign. For example, most of what we say about Leo is really rooted in symbolism that is derived from the sun, and the sun's meaning as a planet within the planetary language of astrology. Of course, we know the sun is a star, but we're talking about them from the perspective of the planets, the wandering stars, the wandering objects in the sky that we track as a part of our language. When we talk about Scorpio, we're talking about, in ancient astrology, mostly the qualities associated with feminine Mars. When we talk about Gemini, we're talking about Hermes Mercury. But then that begs the question, why were these planets associated with these signs? And we have a lot of clues in ancient astrological texts, although it is not overtly explained in any one place and not consistently across many texts, right? So we have to piece things together. One of the most basic observations that we can make is that the seasonal symbolism of the sun's movement through the solar year, from our perspective, is a journey that is not just of literal light or weather or seasons, but is a reflection, is reflecting an eternal cycle between the qualities of light and dark. Within the 24-hour day, we see the vacillation of light and dark. Within the solar year, we see the vacillation of light and dark. In the lunar cycle every month, we see the vacillation of light and dark. The I Ching is very similar in terms of the entire language being made up of exchanges between yang and yin, or light and dark. We also see that the fundamental way in which the ancient astrological language is put together is through relationships between opposites that mirror the fundamental tension of the opposites of light and dark. The primary and secondary motions of the sky, the daytime, nighttime sex, the solar-lunar distinctions, the feminine, masculine assignment of elements, the oppositional qualities of the planets, the planetary contrarieties, planetary opposites and exaltations and falls. Everything in ancient astrology is about the interplay of opposites. And this is very common in like Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. Many ancient mystical languages are rooted in opposites. And so to understand the zodiac in a very fundamental way is to understand that every placement of each planet through the zodiac was likely tied to the alternation of light and dark, and how each planet could be associated with a particular stage of the play between light and dark in the solar year. We can see this in many different facets of the zodiacal arrangement, and why and how planets are placed in the signs that they are. There is a very clear relationship between what's happening in the story of light and dark in the solar year and the assignment of planetary rulerships. So anyway, this leads us to the winter solstice. This is a symbolic moment, not a causal moment. So it doesn't really matter which hemisphere you're in. We think about this moment as a part of an ideal cycle of light and dark that exists in an archetypal dimension first, whose applications are never tethered literally to seasons. That's really important because this is a symbolic divinatory language, that the orientation of which is not absolute but relative. So anyway, that being said, during the Capricorn moment, from the standpoint of the northern hemisphere, the light is rising from within the darkness. And so we have reached the maximal amount of darkness in the 24-hour period, and from Capricorn forward, the light will gradually start returning day by day. Why in the world would this be a feminine earth sign ruled by Saturn? A sign that was also called the gateway of the gods, opposite Cancer, the sign of the summer solstice, in which we've reached maximum light and the darkness is now gradually returning. The light is now descending. So the simple point is that when we're thinking about Cancer and the moon, the rulership of the moon, and the exaltation of Jupiter in that sign, we're thinking about light at its maximum peak or height descending downward toward the earth. That arc of the sun in the sky reaches up northerly, and as it comes down from the summer solstice forward, it starts descending. So it was called the gateway of mankind and is associated with both the moon and Jupiter, who are instigators of life and mediators of life. Biologically, in a symbolic way, we think of Jupiter in relation to procreation, sperm, birth. Same with the moon. Not sperm, but with birth and with gestation and with the womb. So in Cancer, we're talking about the moon and Jupiter because we're talking about the descent of spirit into the material world, the manifestation of life in matter, in forms that move and pass away and come into being and go out of being. This beautiful matrix of life that we call the material cosmos, right? Now, when we get to Capricorn, we're talking about the gradual return of light from within the darkness, the gradual ascent of light out of darkness. This is called the gateway of the gods. And this is because as much as the spirit descends into matter, there is always a return. There's always an ascent as well, and they're archetypal. So when we think about ascent, we think about the ensconcement in matter that the soul finds itself in. Let's say you're in your 20s, and like most people who probably got into astrology or listening to this, you could probably relate. At some point in your 20s, you said, there must be something more. There must be a reason for my being here. I have to find my calling or my purpose. There must be a destiny. There's something like fate or karma at work in mysterious ways that I don't really understand. There must be majestic, beautiful, intelligible rules at play in the universe, right? Like music has a kind of logic. There must be something like that at play. And there must be some way that I can know more about it so that I can know how to live. These kinds of questions are often those that compel people to study astrology. And these kinds of questions happen because we think to ourselves, I have to be something more than just a body and food and instincts and material things. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, but every human aspires to climb to the top of the mountain. Whether we imagine that that climb is in terms of, just achievements, purely material achievements and desires, could be very Capricornian. But also the gateway of the gods, because as the light rises back up and ascends back up in the sky, the path of enlightenment, the trajectory toward the top of the mountain to reach toward the realm of the gods, to overcome those base, instinctual, problematic coverings of darkness in the material world. Just my instinct or appetite to win or dominate or to have things, that there's a natural impulse to transcend, to move up, and that we move up from within the earth, from within matter, it's typical. Like, think about the story of the Buddha. He starts in palace life. He sees poverty and death and suffering. He sees the extremes of indulgence and great poverty. And then he says, there must be something more than just these options, right? These extremes. And so the path becomes a path of enlightenment. Capricorn is really about the ascent out of matter back towards spirit from within the starting point of matter. Now, sometimes that's going to be nothing more than the desire to build a skyscraper, and can be just about conquering and accomplishing things in the material world that reach towards some kind of ideal plane. I'm perfect. I've done everything. I've achieved a lot of power or wealth or success or privilege. Those can be kind of dark and heavy. And not surprisingly, that's kind of a shadow of Capricorn. On the other hand, that desire to transcend and to go up the mountain is the place of hermits and sages and wise people that live in remote monasteries up at the top of the world. So the impulse to transcend is very Capricornian. The impulse to transcend through hard work, discipline, and working our way out of and through the limiting, confining darkness of the material world is also very Capricornian. This is why it was called the gateway of the gods. The path to transcendence is a long, hard, slow, determined climb. It requires realism, it requires effort, and it requires that we work in and through the raw material of our lives. That raw material, there is a kind of rawness and a pragmatism about it that Capricorns are known for. The rulership of Saturn is placed here because Saturn is the dimmest and most distant planet, aiming us toward the realm of that which is transcendent. It sits, Saturn does, at the gateway between the material world and that which is on the other side, the numinous realm of the mind of God, the mind of the universe. So Saturn as a ruler over this sign points us toward working beyond the limits or boundaries of our material condition from within it. From within it. That is a very earthy, embodied, real. I mean, this is why Capricorns, you have to have a kind of self-effacing humor, because you realize that everything rises out of manure. Everything rises out of the raw material of life. Anything we make of ourselves of a transcendent nature has to climb up and through the material. Now, the winter solstice is therefore a time that can be about acknowledging the world we live in its fallenness, its darkness, its beauty, while also renewing what we're living for, what transcendent goals or aspirations we have. And even if we fall short of them, even if we can only approximate some of those ideals, embody only elements of those ideals in our lives, we all have a sense that there is something to live for, something that stirs to life and forces us to move beyond the basest of conditions. Now, there's also something about just sitting in the darkness and knowing that there's hope or faith or light, and that there's something guiding us beyond this world, even as we're in it. Those are some of the things we celebrate around this time of year. Of course, there's New Year's resolutions. And sometimes if we're overly perfectionistic or rigid, we end up failing at the very first goals we set for ourselves. Capricorns are good incrementalists. So think about, if you're going to set any goals for yourself, think about them being incremental. Anyway, just a few thoughts here about the solstice. 5 things to watch for, given that the sun is going to square the south node in Libra as it enters Capricorn. One of those would be a point of release. The south node of the moon is often thought of as a point of releasing old karma. And so over this weekend, you may notice that there is a subtle but maybe important way in which something is ready to be released. Just a little point of karmic release. Number 2, a point of fairness and balance. If compromise, negotiation, diplomacy, and tact are qualities that you notice in the air this weekend, that would not be surprising given that the sun is squaring the south node in Libra. A point of fairness and balance being reached. Number 3, an insight or understanding. The south node often associated with the crystallization of insight from past lives, past experiences, old cycles that are ready to release. And why? Because we've reached a point of insight or understanding about the past. Number 4, a point of accomplishment. The south node can also be about the crystallization of results, because we have done things, we've worked hard, we've put the time and effort in, we're now ready to experience an accomplishment or a result from prior actions. And then 5, reaping what's been sown. Look, this, to be fair, if you believe in karma, and you're never required to believe in karma on this channel, it's something I talk about because I do, but feel free to, you do you. Reaping what's been sown. If you believe in karma, then there is very much a way in which we could encapsulate everything around a sun-south node square by saying there is a sense of culmination, completion, release karmically, that there's a reaping of what's been sown. Do I expect this to be the biggest thing in the world? No, it's a pretty small, fast transit. So unless you have planets right at the 1st, 2nd degrees of cardinal signs in your chart or tropical signs, I would not anticipate this being the world's biggest deal, but watch for it. See if you can notice it in the periphery of your experience this weekend. I'm going to leave it there. Remember, we have a solstice gathering tomorrow night in Minneapolis. It's free to attend. Just make sure you RSVP so we know you're coming and we can bring you a cookie. And otherwise, if you have not yet donated to the Kickstarter, we have a long way to go. We still have over 1,400 backers that we need. So we have a good long push, sustained push and effort that we need to try to accomplish here before the new year. I believe we can get there. I really do. But if you haven't donated yet, please consider donating. There's a bunch of rewards available when you support the channel, and I will explain them next. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm going to tell you about the different rewards that we offer when you donate and support our channel in the year ahead. So you'll find a link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video, in the comments section of this video, as well as on our website, nightlightastrology.com. If you head over there, you'll see at the top of the page there is a menu item that says Kickstarter 2025. You can click on that and be taken over to the Kickstarter campaign page. So once you're there, if you scroll down on the right-hand side, you're going to see different pledge levels and different gifts and sales that we run as a way of saying thank you for your support. So among those, our most popular offering by far are the major discounts that we offer on our training programs. So if you are interested in studying astrology at Nightlight in 2025, whether you're a brand new student or a currently enrolled student who's thinking of taking one of our year 2, 3 horary programs, you're going to find that these are the best rates that we run on the entire year. And we do this as a way of both saying thank you and also of helping us raise funds to support the channel, our staff, and everything we do. So you'll see attend one Nightlight course there. That's about 50% off the total cost of the program and about $500 off the early bird rate. And then you'll scroll down and you'll see that if you bundle 2 courses together, the savings go way up. Bundle 3, they go up even more. I mean, the difference between the 2 and 3 class package is $200. So $200 more, you get 3 of our year-long programs. And if you get all the way to the 4 class pass, then you have all 4 years of our program. You can take them at any pace you like, renew them whenever you like. There's no timeline on when you use these class passes. And you will have all 4 years of content at about 75% off each of the programs individually when you get that bundle. So those are our best savings for sure. Highly recommend those. If you have any questions about our courses or programs, email us info@nightlightastrology.com, or look at the website under the classes page, courses page. You'll find information about each of the individual courses we offer. And then if you scroll up, you're going to find some of our other programs that are greatly discounted. Ashley's Herbal Foundations apprenticeship course, which many people are interested in who come through our Moon Circle that Ashley and I lead each month. You scroll up, you're going to find our masterclass series for 2025, greatly discounted, as well as our Roots and Spheres Moon Circle, greatly discounted. There's hundreds of dollars of savings in each of those. So we really try to make sure that the Kickstarter acts as a good flash sale for all of our programs. You'll then find some really nice prices on previous archive talks, like our 2024 archive masterclass bundle, which is about 30 hours worth of content on specialized topics in astrology. You can see the topics listed in each of the bundles as you scroll through. 2023's masterclass bundle, huge savings on those, and a lot of really great content. You'll see a few reading options as you continue to go from the bottom to the top. You'll see the 2025 year ahead mini reading. There's only 30 of these. These are individualized birth chart readings that I do, looking at the most significant transit in your birth chart for 2025. I record those personally. You'll then see that there is an Ask 3 Horary Questions option where you can get 3 horary questions to redeem whenever you'd like within the year ahead. Those are kind of yes, no predictive questions. Will I get the job? Will we get together? Things like that. Then you'll see the Astrology for Complete Beginners course is also discounted through the Kickstarter. This is a great 10 hours worth of content for people who are brand new to astrology. So whether that's you or maybe a gift for somebody else. And then you're going to see some individual master classes that are greatly discounted from the past year. So all of 2024's masterclass series are the archives of which 8 to 10 hours each are on sale. And then scroll up a little bit more and you'll see one of our most popular offerings, which are the year ahead horoscope readings. These year ahead horoscope readings include 30 to 45 minutes of a breakdown of all the major transits of the year ahead for each sun and rising signs. You get all of them with this package, which is a great deal. It's like 10 hours worth of content, 8, 9, 10 hours, somewhere in there. I haven't finished recording all of them yet. So as of the time I'm recording this, I'm anticipating it'll land around 10 hours. But yeah, anyway, so you scroll up, you'll see those horoscope videos will all be delivered to you right around January 1st when the Kickstarter ends. Scroll up a little bit more, you'll find The Oracle Speaks, which is my book, and this is being released chapter by chapter. It is a book about the inner experience of learning to speak with oracles, and it is being released chapter by chapter in both text and audiobook form, so you can listen along to my new book. And that takes us up to the Astrology of 2025 video. This, for your donation at the $50 level, gives you an exclusive talk breaking down all of the major astrological transits of 2025. I look in depth at some of the biggest things happening in the year ahead and break them down in advance. And that's the only place I release that video or that take on the whole year ahead. Finally, at the very top, the most basic level of donation, you'll see the Astrology of 2025 calendar. This is a PDF calendar we design and make that allows you to track and move along with the astrology as the year unfolds. This is also great if you want to track what we're going to be talking about week by week on my channel. You'll get a glimpse at the biggest transits of each day and month and week. And that will give you some sense of where we're heading with our coverage of the astrology on the channel as the year unfolds. So again, any questions about any of the rewards that you see, email us info@nightlightastrology. Link is in the description, comments, or on the website, nightlightastrology.com. Help us get to 1,937 backers by January 1st. We deeply appreciate your contribution. We try to make sure we have some really special rewards to say thank you when you contribute. All right, take it easy. Bye.